The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Your Box Seat. Yes, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Some terrific scenes from Addington Raceway on Sunday, the inaugural running of the Grand Prix. Matthew Cross is with me to review all of that, plus preview a whole lot that's coming up, Matthew, but on the track, outstanding on Sunday.
It was super, Greg. We saw some phenomenal performances there on Sunday, some of them completely off the charts, some of those runs there from some very, very good horses. The cream rose to the top. Looking forward to chatting about those, Greg. And now that we've got Cup Week and the Grand Prix day out of the way, we look forward to the Auckland features as well as the Invercargill Cup, and then obviously the big summer circuit. So the game that never sleeps will continue, and we've got a good week ahead. Yeah,
exactly. And of course, it's Interdominion final week. We'll have our good friend Michael Guerin drop in and give us his insight into what he thinks will happen in the Pacers and Trotters section. And we'll have a look at the Australasian Young Drivers Championship, which is underway. But let's go back to Sunday, start this review. Here is the Derby, brought to you by Sunshine Stars. And here's the start. Beach Ball made it off the gate quickly. We expected that. But there's the indicator from Tim Williams. Sticks up in the air, Matthew. Republican Party's coming forward. The eventual winner in the green colours, Akuta, goes back. At this point, you knew that for the next 500 to 600 metres, there was going to be pressure, and the lead time reflected that, just over 1:10.
Yeah, Blair Orange was never going to be content sitting parked with Republican Party. Here it is with a lap left to go. He'd finally found the lead, but he just had to burn that amount of gas, Greg. And then by the time he was able to back it off, the three-wide train was coming, and Akuta, who was, I reckon, at least 25 lengths off them at the 1800, has had to cover extra ground three wide for the entire last mile before getting up outside of the leader. The early burn of the two horses lead and trail, I think, certainly helped the chances of Akuta, but he still had to be big, improving around them three wide and then finally getting up outside of the leader. How's this for a closing sectional, Greg? 150.2 on the ultimate racebook for Akuta. His time equivalent for the 2,600 was 3:02.3, which is just dead set phenomenal. Home in 54.7 and 27. No knock on Republican Party. He's been beaten a long way, but he's been beaten by a dead set rising horse that I think will go into champion status, to be honest with you, with this victory. Akuta. Mark Purdon pushed the button around the corner and it was game over. Sandwave, I thought, was very good. He's had to come three wide and tried to go with them. And on the clock, both Wheels of Fortune and Franco Indy good, but you just can't help but be in awe of this sort of victory, Greg, and to push the button and get away, just outstanding.
All right, we'll get your call as you bring them home and then hear from Mark Purdon and also Crandell Getty around the runner-up.
has raced away with the Derby. Akuta is far too good and a thrilling win. He streeted them. Akuta by nearly 10. Second across Republican Party and third in was Sandwave. Then came Cyrus from Beach Ball.
Mark, what a derby. Knew it was going to be a great battle and, well, he was just simply too good.
Yeah, it was a great race, Greg, and yeah, you know, a little bit lucky. They did go hard early and that played into our hands a little bit, but when he joined in down the back there and was outside Republican Party, he felt really good.
That was his ultimate goal. I know you ended up going through the Cup, but you said that this was numero uno for him and therefore he's won both derbies this year, so job done.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he's been a wonderful horse and a great day too for Ian Dobson. He won 3 on the day, so it was just a wonderful day for him as well.
Mark, what do you do with him now, and does the Race by Grins become a serious option given that Ian owns a slot?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely, and you know he wasn't far away in the Cup, so you know on that performance and that little bit extra time, he's going to be a bit better again. So I think it's a race we'll be looking forward to.
We thought it would be some sort of contest, and it didn't let us down.
Yeah, very true. I said to Blair after the race, we come along and said we're going to go 3-5 for 2,600, and one just drives on by. But yeah, fella's gone enormous, but just beaten by a better horse. Simple as that.
That was his grand final today, Cran, so you put him aside now, because a lot's still ahead of this wee fella.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, there's. I haven't looked too far ahead, but there is maybe the Chariots in Australia and some other sort of bigger races too. But for now, yeah, we'll just rest his legs.
Just 0.2 outside of the record held by Sheriff. I thought excellent in third, Sandwave. Actually spoke to Nathan Williamson, Matthew, about him, and he was delighted, said they just stepped up his work a bit, and he's likely to go forward to the Invercargill Cup now. He'll get in off the front, so he said, I'm going to give him his chance against those older horses, and he deserved that. And the big set of connections there, gee, they made some noise. They were absolutely wrapped with their third placing. He was very brave. I thought Cyrus also good. Colin DeFilippi's Here's Herbie was running on nicely as well, but I mean, all the accolades have to go with Akuta. Sectionally outstanding. He's the benchmark for the age group of 3-year-olds this year, and I know it's changed birth date wise, but yeah, he's a remarkable racehorse.
Well, in 12 months' time, he's probably going to be the benchmark in terms of the open class horses as well, Greg, and that's absolutely no knock on you. You copy that and Self-Assured and BD Joe, who we'll talk about later on, but the progression of this horse, particularly over the last 12 months, and the management and the planning from Mark Purdon is going to put him in an incredibly good place this time in 12 months. And the Race by Grins is going to be an absolute ripper. And yeah, what about the day for Ian Dobson? I know we'll talk a bit more about that later on, but a man of Ian Dobson's age to still be enjoying this wonderful game. You never know when your luck is coming, let alone having 3 Group 1s in a day. And I think that he is certainly going to put his hand up, Akuta, as being probably number 1 in 12 months' time. Yeah,
well, you mentioned the Race by Grins. He's now equal favourite at $5, alongside Copy That, BD Joe, who we'll see later, and Self-Assured. So, yeah, there's plenty of water to go under the bridge between now and then, but 4 horses at $5 for the Race by Grins. So let's leave the Derby there, move on to the 3-year-old fillies feature. It's with IRT. It's the 73rd running of the Oaks. They get off the gate pretty quickly here, and the eventual winner takes the lead, Matthew, no matter what. Charged around to the front and just got tapped on the bum there, which really wound her up. And once she got the front, she didn't really come back to Olivia Thornley. That's True Fantasy, thinking about coming off initially.
I thought she'd pulled too hard, to be honest with you, Greg, right through the run. I thought to myself, gee, this horse cannot keep going, and I was looking for something else to come out of the pack and get past her, but they simply couldn't. A phenomenal performance from a horse that's really come of age, and she simply outstayed them. Huge thrill for Olivia Thornley, Greg, and another Group 1 for the All-Stars.
Still Dawn and Obsession, True Fantasy wider out, no matter what in front at the 100, she's going roughly, Obsession trying hard, True Fantasy coming at her, no matter what, it's been daring from Olivia Thornley, but she's pulled it off, no matter what, won the Oaks and beat Obsession, third across True Fantasy.
Group 1 Liv.
Yeah, no, it was really special, so I was rapt to get it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the time you've had at the All-Stars before we talk about the run today, because this will be really special for you.
Oh yeah, it's really special. Like coming up on Christmas, I would have been there 7 years, so I've been through a lot of it with them, and yeah, to get the Group 1 for them in their colours, it means a lot. Right,
let's get to this race. No matter what, she's always had a couple of tricks and a few different steps out there, but today she did something completely different. Tell me about what it was like when she decided she'd run her own race.
Yeah, well, I knew I was going to come out of the gate the whole time, but once I came out of the gate, she wasn't coming back to me, and she pulled the whole way, so I was getting very concerned that if we were going to see out the 2 sits or not, so she hadn't run over that distance. And then 50 short of the post, she put in a few Houdini steps, and I was thinking, don't give it up now, girl.
Yeah. You've been with her for a wee while, and you've obviously learnt with her as well. So to be able to get a Group 1 win for Michael Purdon as well, who's in the ownership, along with BD West, Brian West, it's pretty special, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely special. Like Michael was training her for a while, and then Martin Hayden took over. So for him, it's just as special as anything, even if he's not down as trainer anymore. And his partner Alison, she loves the horse, and they both drive her in track work. And I just sit there on the day and hope for the best.
Well, you hope for the best today, and you got a Group 1. The Thornley name is back at the top of a Group 1 race, the Oaks. It's a pretty special win for you. Well done.
Oh yeah, it's very special. Thanks very much. And to everyone who's messaged me, I can't thank them enough, because I've just been overwhelmed on my phone. So it means a lot.
0.6 of a second outside Princess Tiffany's record in the Oaks, Matthew, but you saw her taking those fairy light footsteps. So I thought Obsession, excellent. True Fantasy, pretty honest. Just in behind them as well, Dance Till Dawn was okay too, but you can't take anything away from a horse that did all that work in that time in front.
Yeah, to be fair, Greg, that was just a fearless drive from Olivia Thornley to punch out on a horse that has been known to throw in some rough steps. Actually galloped into the first turn at her start prior to just let her slide and roll along. Was just a fearless performance from both horse and driver, and great to see Olivia and both her brother Sam Thornley really kicking some goals at the moment. They both drive with good confidence, and that's what you need if you want to be at the top level. True Fantasy loses no admirers, Greg. She's been beaten for speed early, then had to race part for the majority. It's been a wonderful, wonderful season for her, and a couple of good runs in behind on the clock. Both the Better You and Mickey Montana were pretty good as well, so they might be worth following in the new year. But yeah, absolutely thrilled for Olivia Thornley, as well as Michael Purdon and his partner Alison. They showed a lot of emotion post-race, and yeah, good to see them all getting back together and celebrating a big win. And Brian West in the ownership as well. He's bred many, many good horses, and probably doesn't get the accolades he deserves, Greg, for the breed that he's put together and the Group 1s that he has won. But yeah, great thrill for all involved.
Yeah, he bought this one back at the sale because obviously they weren't getting the money they wanted for the rock and roll dancers, and I'm pretty sure, Matthew, they paid the late entry fee for the Oaks too. So when you do that, come up trumps, huge result for them. All right, leaving the Oaks behind, let's go to Muscle Mountain. His domination of the Livermore, New Zealand trotting free-for-all in front, doing it the way he likes. He was simply too fast for them, smashed Heavyweight Hero's record by over a second, or exactly a second I think it was. Time up the hill was brilliant in second. Enheim battled along solidly, as he always does, and Majestic Man getting himself into third, just ahead of Oscar Bonavina. But Ben Hope will tell us what he thought post-race.
By nearly 3 at the line, Time Up the Hill ran a cracker. She'll be second from Majestic Man and Oscar Bonavina.
Was that as easy as it looked?
Absolutely, yeah, no, he jogged it.
Look, he's got a New Zealand record. I think he's proven he's the best short course horse in the country, and today there was no chance you were going to let luck play a part.
No, that's right. I mean, he was $1.30. He was, obviously everybody's picked to win, and I thought, driving like the best horse in the race, and if we're good enough, we're good enough, and if we're not, we're not. But, he was.
Bring on Australia now, because I think it's time that they got to see the big boy roll.
Yeah, that's right. There was obviously temptations for the Interdominions, but it's probably not a race series that suits him just yet. We thought the Greats and the Stars probably more in his wheelhouse, and all things going well, we'll be heading over there.
Quite a good day for Dobby.
Yeah, no, he's had a huge day. It's well deserved, because he spends a lot of money in the industry, and he's been awesome to me. So to repay him with another Group 1 win is awesome.
Third win for the Hopes in this race, Matthew. I think Mombay won it a couple of times, and there's not really much else you can say about it because he was simply superior.
I think the fact that Bolt for Brilliance has gone over to Australia and been so competitive, and obviously sad how things have unfolded for him in the latter part of the Interdominion series, but it just shows how good our trotters are, particularly the top three, Muscle Mountain, Sunday Sun and Bolt for Brilliance. It was always going to be his race. He was always going to win it, to be fair, Greg. And look, Ben has just gone from strength to strength in terms of his confidence sitting behind this horse as well. And a real thrill for Greg and Nina Hope. I'd imagine there's a fair bit of pressure that comes with a horse like that going around is $1.30. So I would imagine there'd be feelings of relief as well as celebration post the race. The race suited those on the pegs. It was good to see Time Up the Hill get back into a little bit of form, and Majestic Man's run another honest race as well, but he was all class. And the progeny of Muscle Hill, not that there is many of them, but they continue to dominate.
Yeah, absolutely you do. Yeah, Time Up the Hill, she'll take her place in the Green Mile at Methven on Sunday. More about that later on. Let's continue on with our features though. The Pro Nature Probiotic Trotting Derby. Thought this might be the race of the day. Here's Mystic Max going past Congrazia Love. Looked home, Highgrove. So many things happened before, during and after this race. It's quite remarkable, but it was Highgrove's stablemate, Nazareth, charging home for Tim Williams to take out the big Group 1 for the 3-year-old trotters.
Side and Nazareth won the Trotting Derby. Nazareth got there and Williams loved it.
First Group 1 trotting win, that's got to mean a bit.
Yeah, it's something, it's been on the bucket list for a while, Greg, and obviously Group 1s themselves are not easy to come by, let alone trotters when you've got to get them to trot the whole way. So yeah, it's something really pleased about to tick off the bucket list.
He's come a long way, this horse. Going into this race, where were your expectations? Where did you think would be a pass mark?
Look, I thought the 2-6 would suit and the draw would suit. His last start, probably, I said, come in and said to the owners, just put a line through it. He just put one funny step in and normally he can get through it. It just sort of blew him apart. So I thought being on the second row, I thought following the right ones on the front row, I thought we were a chance of running 4 or 5. Like you say, there was some smart ones in there. Obviously, they made mistakes and were able to capitalise on it. But if we could run in 5, I thought he's going to be in the hunt somewhere.
To win that for Johnny, Jenna, and obviously RJ, just adds to it, doesn't it?
Oh, it's massive, Greg. Obviously, spent a lot of time with RJ growing up. I think Mum and Dad sort of said at times, I'll be staying with RJ when Dexter wasn't even there. So, they taught me how to drive, how to work, what the horse was. So, they were a massive part of getting me into the industry. And, it was another thing that was, it's been big on the bucket list to be able to tick off a Group 1 for RJ. It's something that means a lot to me.
I Love You, out of Jenny Butt's wonderful breed. It's probably no surprise that this horse could stay.
No, it's like you say, the team have done a great job. He's just got better and better. Like you say, the last 6 months has been a real learning curve. The horse is really starting to fill into his frame, and John's always had a lot of faith in that the horse would come out the other side. As much as he didn't look it early on, it's credit to them. They've really ironed him out, and I think he should just keep getting better and better.
17th Group 1 win for Tim Williams, first in the trotting gate, of course, Matthew. He's up to 93 wins for the season, so he's going to break the 100, all things being equal. And isn't it remarkable? He hasn't mirrored what Blair Orange has done because, he's got the power of the Stonewall, where Blair went to a less powerful, if you like, Ken Barron's at the stage. But they must be immensely proud, Mark and Natalie, of those two drivers coming through their ranks and now producing what they are, because he's gone to the next level, Tim Williams.
He has, and he's a punter's confidence driver as well, Greg. I know a lot of punters, they see T. Williams on board. He doesn't really make mistakes, so that's a massive positive, and it was good to see a bit of emotion from him as well. It's not often that we get that from our leading drivers. Often, they win a lot of races, but clearly this is one that he's going to save you forever. So well done to him, the big group of owners as well. They were celebrating on course, and Jenny Butt's breed, they just keep on winning races, don't they? And look, for how far this horse has come in the last 12 months, if he improves that again in the next 12 months, then they're going to have a lot of fun with him. You can't knock the run of Highgrove. It was just the top 2 inches for him. I think the false start stirred him up a little bit, and then he blew to bits. His sectionals were super. And then outside of that, Hidden Talent, probably a little bit disappointing for Connections that she wasn't able to hold it together. She may have looked at a winning chance, not that they wanted to hear that. And probably back to the drawing board for A.G. Hurley with Double Delight. We look forward to seeing if he can iron things out there with her, and we'll look forward to the next season with a few of these.
Yeah, very brave run from Mystic Max. He looked all over the winner and almost gave an incredible double, of course, for Michael Purdon. Time for us to take a short break here on Your Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. We will come back with the Aces and cover off all the 2-year-old features from Sunday. Welcome back into your box seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Let's go to the first of our 2-year-old races, the Aces and Confessional. Getting the lead here, Gold Bullion in behind. Paul Nairn had done an amazing job with this horse. We'll hear from him post-race about the progression. Gold Bullion rolls into a gallop. Southern Diamond was hitting the line strongly, as was Tectonic, but it was Confessional's day and a Group 1, another one for Paul Nairn.
Confessional won it by 4. Second across Southern Diamond, third in Tectonic, and then Crown the Moment. Gold Bullion next in from Switch On and What's Wanted.
That was a terrific staying performance.
Yes, no, he's a good staying type of horse, so sort of might as well make use of those qualities.
Last week, or last time, he was also very good. You were always going to press forward, and I suppose the question mark was whether the lead would be there, but once you got there, he seemed pretty comfortable.
Yes, he felt pretty strong going down the back and trotting well, so yeah, I was hopeful it'll work out good.
Paul, has he been a bit of a work in progress?
Yes, yeah, it was you know, probably, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago now, he was inclined to have the odd gallop and just weren't quite sure why, just a wee bit of trial and error. I think he was just actually touching quite low, so we just worked on that and got his confidence going, and yeah, he's got more solid now.
If anything, what he's achieved this time in is only going to set him up for the future, one would imagine.
Well, you'd like to think so. He's a good staying sort of horse, and the other sort of horses you need in these big days when you're going hard all the way, so yeah.
You had the horse to beat on your back, Gold Bullion, and although he rolled into a gallop, do you think you were still going strong enough to hold him anyway?
Well, I thought Bob might have a bit more speed than me, so I was hoping my fella could just take the speed out of him a bit. So, but yeah, it was unfortunate for Bob that his one did gallop, but yeah, it's our day today.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Paul. Another Group 1 for you. Well done.
Thanks very much, Greg. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a good horseman. Effectively, Matthew, his second win in this race. If you go back to One Over to Moon, who won the equivalent Jules race, so from a similar position. In fact, it was off the Unruly too, so he certainly knows how to get them rock hard fit and ready to just keep on running.
And another one by Father Patrick. It's funny, Greg, at the sales the year just gone, the Father Patricks maybe didn't quite get what they're going to next year, obviously, with the record that they've had. And David and Catherine Butt and Bolte and Lynn Patterson breeding this horse. And I guess now that David and Catherine have taken a step back from the training side of things, breeding and owning is now their forte. So for a horse that they bred out of a mare that they had so many thrills within Habibti, I'm sure this is a huge, huge thrill. Southern Diamond, I thought, ran home quite strongly, and he's a horse who's got 3-year-old written all over him. And Tectonic, well, he's a bit mad, but once he sorts things out, Tectonic, then I'm sure that he's going to put together a very good record, and the break and then coming back is going to do him the world of good. But yeah, he's a pleasure to watch, isn't he? Paul Nairn, unorthodox, but very, very good at what he does.
Yeah, genius. Spoke to Bob Butt about Gold Bullion. He said probably just a bridge too far. He said it was pretty hard to take because he was dead set bolting, but he's done a great job. And like you say, with those other horses, Southern Diamond and the like, 3-year-old written all over them. So looking forward to seeing their progress when they return. Let's go to Millwood Nike, though. Continuing a magic day for the All-Stars. What a brilliant filly she is. She's won 8 from 8 now. Bred by Katie Carville. She was simply too good again. And when you hear from Mark Purdon post-race, you'll get an appreciation for what he thinks of her.
8 from 8 and unsurpassed. Millwood Nike won it by a length and a half at the finish from Artie by the Seaside. Third across was Colour with Flyby. Didn't get any luck. Fourth in Forever Me from Tractorous Gal.
Well, that was ridiculous.
Yes, she had to be good, Greg. And down the back, I felt we were running a record, and we duly did. So she was very, very courageous.
Mark, is there anything she can't do? Because she's come from off the speed and shown them too much speed, and now she's outstayed them. So given her size and her pedigree, it's all ahead of her for a booming next 12 months.
Yes, that's right. And, we go into the Oaks over 2,700, and you can tell the way she raced today that the distance is not going to worry her. So, she just got everything.
Artie by the Seaside, Kalua Flyby, excellent Forever Me. She had a couple of tricky steps as well. Matt, before I get your thoughts on Millwood Nike, what about the New Zealand record situation? I know there's been a bit of talk on Twitter and the like about people don't want to hear that they've broken another age group record, but there's actually not a lot you can do about it. You could put an asterisk and say that 2022 was the year that it changed, but if it gets broken once and then twice, then it's gone. That asterisk is gone as well. So, yeah, I think we just have to suck it up at the moment for the next 12 months. These results are probably going to change because the horses are older and stronger, even though it'll still say that they're in that age group category.
Well, we're setting the benchmark, aren't we? For the 12 months just gone and the new season, we're setting the benchmark for these records, and I guess they're all worthy of a mention. We'd probably get ridiculed if we didn't say they were national records. So, yeah, it's a sort of a 50-50 situation. I think we just cop it now, and then in 12 months' time, if there is a national record, then it might mean a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. What about Millwood Nike? She can't do any more.
Wow. She's got to be in the conversation of you know, your adore me's and the like with what she's been able to do. She looks like she wears about a 62-inch hopple, does things incredibly comfortably. She's so economical. She's fast. She's strong. She's very willing. She's got that bit of attitude as well, that bit of oomph that good fillies need. And she sort of looks like a colt as well when she goes trackside. I can't wait to see this horse come back. What she did on Sunday was extra good, and you would imagine she'd only get better. If you get yourself a good Captain Treacherous, boy, they're good. We've seen some real stars across Australasia by that sire. Yeah, looking forward to seeing her back, and I'm sure that, you know, she'll be a chance of going unbeaten through a 3-year-old career as well. I thought Artie by the Seaside deserves a lot of credit, Greg. She's been a good filly this season, a really good filly. Kalua Flyby was a bit unlucky. Maybe cost her running second around the corner when her stablemate just stopped her in her tracks. And when you're running those sort of times, Greg, to get your momentum completely stopped, to pick yourself up and get going again, she's a good filly, but they've just run into an excellent filly, unfortunately for them this season. But yeah, no knock on the runs in behind, but she's in a league of her own.
All right, let's move on to the 2-year-old boys and have a look at this clash between Don't Stop Dreaming and Sherlock. Changed with a lap to go because the Woodlands New Zealand Sire Stakes winner on Cup Day took the lead off Sherlock. Sherlock had his chance to run him down, but he's very, very good. He's 6 from 7. He's won over $260,000, and Mark Purd was pretty glowing of his winning performance on Sunday.
He did all the donkey work and gets the Group 1. Second across Sherlock, third to go by Sinbad.
Another great performance from him.
Yes, yeah, got a good run through early, Greg, and was handy. And then once Johnny Dunn got round me and I could hear the 3-wide line coming, I thought, well, you know, he's had such a beautiful run through early. I'll take advantage of it and send him forward and went on to the top from there. But down the back, he felt really strong. And although I had a lot of respect for Sherlock on the back, I just thought he's going to need to be on his best to beat him.
Been a long season for him. He deserves a break. He was probably coming to the end of it, so he may have got there just on sheer guts.
Yes, yeah, perhaps he has, Greg. Yeah, I thought today when he just paraded here, he looked an absolute picture, and yeah, he's a great little colt.
Yeah, here I am saying that he might have come to the end of it, Matthew, but he's gone a sensational time, and Mark thinking he probably looked as good as he has all year. I'm not going to question Mark Purden, and yeah, look, he's a very, very good horse. I thought Sherlock was good, but couldn't really run him down, so I think he definitely cements himself as numero uno.
Yeah, but two totally different horses, aren't they? Don't Stop Dreaming is the perfect 2-year-old. And then you've got Sherlock, who has, to be fair, shown some sense of maturity on the other, particularly, you know, how he warms up. He has a bit of a look around, and his size as well. So in 12 months' time, Sherlock could be going like this, but Don't Stop Dreaming could get better as well. But physically and mentally, you'd say there's a lot more to come from Sherlock. And Sinbad has really come of age, this horse. Super run on Cup Day and the Cup Day Maiden. Good win beating a Hoka LeBron last time, or the time before, which was a pretty easy kill. But he's had to be pretty good to get as close as what he did from the second row as well. And I think Final Collect's a good horse as well. He's the one horse, Greg, right through these 2-year-old races that has just had absolutely nothing go his way. From barrier draws, trips and transit, he's been smashing the clock. So he loses no admirers there, but he's been the benchmark. Don't Stop Dreaming. Throw Merlin in the mix as well. Sherlock. We're going to be in for a pretty good and fun season for the 3-year-olds.
I know some people will be watching this and thinking this is an all-stars-a-thon, Mark Purdon and Hayden Cullen, but they did win 5 on the day. By the way, there were 5 New Zealand bloodstock graduates too to win on this very big day, but the jaw-dropping performance of the day came from this filly. Her name is High Energy. How she won this, Matthew, I'll never know. I'll get your thoughts post-race. She had all sorts of problems getting into the race, was never closer than 3 and 4 wide, and did this to them.
She strode up to the lead at the 100 metres. She is in a class of her own. This is a huge, huge run from High Energy. She gets the high five and wins the Ace of Hearts. Superb. High Energy by 2.5 at the line from the Ivy League.
Well, it wasn't a fun watch. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been a fun steer.
No, it wasn't, Greg. I tried a couple of times just to get into the one off the marker line, but just didn't quite have enough room. But yeah, it didn't look good there, 1,000 out.
Stunning performance from her. She remains unbeaten. Another New Zealand record today. The world's her oyster.
Yeah, look, there's not much of her, and you know, she does look after herself, you know, but she came into last week and it wasn't an ideal prep, and she came out on top, which is to her credit. And again today, you know, didn't go how we sort of planned, but she was still too good.
Brecon Farm Super 6 Syndicate. You saw her looking to duck out the gate again, Matthew. She's got a few quirks, hasn't she? But has she got a motor? Her mother had a motor high gate. She's got the same. And yeah, really exciting for them and for Ken and Karen Brecon, and a special day for Ken Brecon. He got his gold card. 65 he was on Sunday. So yeah, big day out for Ken Brecon.
Yeah, they put a lot of money into the industry as well, and it's always good to see them get a bit of a thrill too. Another one by, guess who? Father Patrick. 2 Group 1s on the day. So if you bought yourself a Father Patrick at the sales a year just gone, you've probably paid a little bit of unders. Could be a total swing in his favour. So good. I can't believe that she won. A lap out, the horse in front of her was just going absolutely nowhere, and they're nice horses that were in front of her, and she's had to cover extra ground. Wow, that's all I can say about that. She's got the attitude to go with it. She might have to sort herself out after the race running out the gate. That's probably not ideal, but who cares? She's 5 from 5 and just a bonny little horse, isn't she? Would she have beaten Confessional? Yeah, that's probably a bit of a tricky conversation, Greg. I thought Confessional was very, very good, but 2 totally different runs. His was more of a staying performance, having to work mid-race, and hers was a bit more of a wow, how did that happen kind of performance. But I think we're in a good place going forward, and both the 2-year-old boys and girls have been massive benefactors of the change of season, being able to have that time to mature through the winter rather than racing, and then get thrown out at the end of the season. But yeah, that was so good. Pleasure to watch, it was.
I know we've talked about the box seat being a more preview orientated program these days, but you can't drop any Group 1s, and we had to look back at all 8 of them, so I hope you enjoyed that. The other feature of the day was the East-West Fencing Summer Cup. This was a cracking contest, 2:18.5, so a terrific time on what was a really hot day. Self-assured, brilliant outside Cranbourne there, so brave, but BD Joe blazes past Spankham, who did some work early on, Crew getting home nicely wide out, but it was BD Joe's day, and co-trainer Steve Telfer was pretty happy about that.
Krug from the back ran 4th, and then Henry Hubert got you covered.
Well, after a luckless campaign during Cup Week, he made his own luck today.
Yeah, he did. Look, really thrilled for the horse. You know, his runs were very good during Cup Week, but just not to be this year. So, no, he had a wee freshen up, and Mandy said he'd been really well, and she wasn't wrong.
52 mile rate today, having to come and run past a couple of Mark Purdon and Hayden Cullen's runners. All bodes well going forward to the Invercargill Cup that's pretty close.
Yeah. Look, I wasn't sure. I was thinking about taking in Mifflin for the mile, but after today's run, no, happy to go into the Invercargill Cup at his next start, yeah.
Well, he's been a terrific horse this season, no question about that at all, and he gets another chance at Group 1 glory, so we wish you well on that campaign.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it, Greg.
Yeah, great way to finish the day, wasn't it? Matthew, just your quick overview of the inaugural Grand Prix day, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, look, it's interesting, Greg. I think the racing on track was good. The crowd wasn't as good as what some may have anticipated. I guess there's probably going to be some sort of conversation around that and how we can improve and make it better next year. I think you have to be a little bit forgiving in terms of, you know, the economy at the moment. we're leading up to Christmas. People are saving their money for Christmas presents and the like. We're coming off the back of Cup Week as well. It's a Sunday, first time around. Yeah, look, I hope there's some good conversations as to how we can get better. I wouldn't like to see conversations of, you know, you were right, I was right, you were wrong, we should have done this, rah, rah, rah. Let's work together as an industry to make it better so that in 12 months' time we can come and we can celebrate a few more people on course. But no knock on the racing, Greg. The racing
was outstanding. Cup Show Day and then they're three of the best race days that you could have possibly been to. There's a bit of work to go on about what happens in the future. Absolutely there is, Matthew. Harness Race New Zealand, Addington needs to sit down. No question there was a hangover from Cup time. I think it needs to shift to a Friday night because the next 3 weeks at Addington, the joint's packed out, you can't get a seat. It needs atmosphere, it deserves atmosphere, and I'm sure the powers that be will have a decent review of it. We'll try and get that for you, bring it to this show and have your say. Tell Harness Racing New Zealand and Addington what you want to see, excuse me, with this day. But the racing, no question, it was superb and yeah, some wonderful shots coming through from trackside to boot. Right, we need to leave the Grand Prix day there, move across the Tasman. Matthew, before we get to the Interdominion, the Australasian Young Drivers is underway and Sam Thornley's hit the ground running.
Yeah, what a week for both Sam Thornley and his sister Olivia Thornley. Sam going over there, going 2 from 2. He drove Outlaw Man in the first heat last night, was $1.08. Rolled forward, controlled the speed. And he certainly, look, one of those things going over to Australia, and a lot of our big drivers have always said it's totally different over there, but he certainly looked at home, Sam Thornley. He's looked at home in some big races over here in New Zealand as well. And I think he's one of our best juniors going around, and that showed last night. Crystal Hackett and Sarah O'Reilly both picking up valuable points with the placing as well. But Sam's got a big lead now. He currently leads the way on 32 points, and I think he's about 16 or 17 points higher than the second place person in that. Great to see them on show, and they're driving every day this week with 2 heats every night, and looking forward to seeing what the results come to at the end of the week.
Yeah, of course, the Interdominion is on. Our man Michael Guerin is on the ground and we've got him to give us his insight into what he thinks might unfold in both the Pacers and Trotters series.
Yeah, hi Grego. Big hi to everybody watching back home. It's been a lot of fun. I really like the idea, Greg, of taking the series to the region. So I missed Ballarat, but I was here for Shepparton and Geelong. I think that would have been something cool if we could have done it in New Zealand in the past, going to Cambridge or Ashburton, but that's in the past. I was also part of the barrier draw last night and really intriguing because it set up a whole lot of scenarios. We'll talk about the Pacers first. I cast no shadow. Bred in New Zealand gets barrier 1, has gate speed, Greg. And in many ways, Cam Hart holds the key to the race. After the way he failed at Shepparton, I don't think they want to lead. I think he's a horse who they can lead with for a while, but then they'll want to hand up to one of the other big guns, and there's plenty of them on the front line. The favourites act now. I think if he gets the lead, he becomes the horse to beat, but outside him, Spirit of St. Louis, and he flew off the gate at Shepparton. That raises the possibility, I think, that they have to go forward with him, and maybe they really go forward. Because if he can get off and lead, there's the option for him to stay there and wait for stablemate Expensive Ego. So, Greg, I see 2 scenarios. One is an act now or Honolulu Bay gets the lead and the Emma Stewart team dominates. The other one is Spirit of St. Louis goes forward, which is his best chance of winning anyway, copping a trail on stablemate Expensive Ego, and then Belinda McCarthy has the advantage of that lead trail scenario, which is so important around Melton. The one horse I think he can win from a different range of places, in front, in the trail, or coming down the outside, because he proved it to us at Shepparton, is Honolulu Bay. So, Greg, he's my top tip. It's price dependent whether I would back him. I don't want less than $3. I'm absolutely not sure how all the markets are going to react to the next couple of days. I would think Act Now is probably going to end up as the favourite, and no reason he can't win. But I was concerned by the fact that he got very fired up at Geelong after Jody Quinlan had to tap him on the bum to start, get him fired up. We'll hear more from Jody later on about that. So Honolulu Bay on top, but I can really see the McCarthy team pressing forward and trying to create their own lead trail scenario. That's going to be the key to the race, Greg. That first 400 metres, I think, is going to decide the Interdominion pacing final. Trotting final has a different sort of intrigue. Obviously, we're all a bit sad about Bolt for Brilliance missing out. As we know, these things happen, and most importantly, I think the horse will be able to race on eventually for Tony and the owners, but it's really taken the air out of the balloon. I think it's left 4 winning chances, Greg, and it's the same 4 that everybody knows. Mufasa Metro, bred in New Zealand, of course, and a heat winner the other day. Really good when he can lead. He's got barrier 1. The question is, can he lead from there, or does a Majestuoso type horse drawn out at barrier 5 get away on for him and get across? When he led, he won the Great Southern Star last season. So they're the crucial factors early in the speed map. Queen Elida, for our good friend Tony Barron and the New Zealand-based owners, is drawn behind Mufasa Metro. If Mufasa Metro holds up and leads, and I spoke to John Justice last night, that's what he's going to try and do, then Queen Elida is clearly the one to beat, because she's either in the trail with the sharp sprint, which she hasn't really shown in the last round of heats because she was driven differently. And I think she'll win over the 27.60. Or, worst case scenario, Mufasa Metro's crossed and she's 3 pegs. Again, Greg, not a disaster, because there's a big tail to this field. And I see some of these horses dropping off at the 400, maybe even the 600. And I still think she'll get out. The horse who's been cruelled, as you like to say, by the drawers, Just Believe, who got good draws in all the heats. I still think he'll be outside the leader relatively easily at the bell, because, again, that tail means that when he moves, nobody's going to try and park him. So he's outside the leader. I'm not sure he can win from there, but he at least puts himself in the race. I see a trotting final, Greg, where at the 400, the 4 big names are there, and it's the one who's conserved the most energy. For me, I think that'll be Queen Elida. If there was going to be a roughie, Greg, and I think it's really hard to find a roughie in the Trotters final, because the big 4 are so consistent that it's hard to imagine them all having a night off. But Always Ready has been going good races. Driven Cold, he might be the place swooper, and he's around $10 for the place, Gregory. So the barrier draws are crucial. The first 400 even more crucial, because even though we've had some good racing in the heats, Greg, it's been largely pegs dominated, and big races at Melton tend to be very pegs dominated. So I want to be on horses who are coming from the pegs, even though that could well be 3 deep on the pegs in the Trotters race.
So terrific to get that insight from the man they call the Brand. He was also doing some interviews for Trots Vision, and we thank them for these out of the barrier draw. Let's hear from both Jodie Quinlan and Greg Sugars.
Just talking about Act now, you and I discussed it today. It must be a lot of fun to drive, but can you actually see over his rump? Because you're little and he's really big. How do you know where you're going?
I look around the corner.
Barrier 3, you wanted a low barrier. He is almost unbeaten in his career in front. Can you get there from barrier 3 with that much speed around you?
Not sure. I'll be doing my best. He'll be coming out the gate as hard as he can and see where we end up, but it's not the be-all and end-all if he doesn't lead.
You had to give him a tap on the bum to hold up the other day, and he led, but he over-raced and you almost got run down. Over 2,700 and a bit. Is that a concern?
Oh, well, he went pretty good the other night. He smashed a track record. You wouldn't want to be outside the leader if he gets pulling like that. I wouldn't want to be the leader either, because neither of us would win.
You and some people like Kieran and before that even the Lisa Justices of the world led this charge for the females in harness racing way back to Miracle Miles 20 years ago. It must be incredibly satisfying for you to be part of a female driver's room where so many are going onto the track, and a female training establishment where so many are gearing up horses for the big dances.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Karen was our, trailblazer, and we've sort of followed through from her. But to see Kate come along and do what she's done, and a lot of the junior driver girls, there's a good future for them all.
Good luck Saturday night.
Thank you.
Greg Sugars, you said to me on the way to Geelong the other night, you said the only problem we've had with this horse is he keeps drawing well and it can't keep up. You probably shouldn't have said that. You got barrier 12.
Yeah, no, I caught my right whack there, didn't I? But at least I got it right.
Yep, you did. He's a horse who's had a good series. He's had a confidence-building series. How was he Sunday morning after the 3 runs? Because he didn't look like a horse who had had a hard week.
No, he's come through it brilliantly. He actually nearly double-barreled me when I let him go in the paddock. He's feeling $1 million. So that's one massive positive we can take out of the heats. He hasn't really had a hard run yet. He's really thrived on the 3 runs, and he's feeling $1 million. So he's a versatile horse when he's going to have to be from the draw.
You've beaten and seen off Bolt for Brilliance. You've beaten Queen Elida, and you've beaten Majestioso. So you've beaten most of the favourites and the long-time favourite who's out of the series. The one horse you haven't had to beat in the series is Mufasa Metro. He's in barrier 1 now. The last time he got in front of you at Maryborough, he beat you. Is he now the horse to beat for you?
I think he probably is. The way the cards have fallen, just at a quick first reaction to the barrier draw, he's got to be the likely favourite now, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if the market certainly gets reshuffled now, the way the barrier draws have fallen. So he was very impressive and deserved his heat win. He's been terrific in all 3 heats, really. And as you say, the last time he was in front and we had to chase him, we couldn't catch him. So it is a longer race this time around, so we're still in it with a chance, but it's going to be a great race.
I've got some bad news for you. You're in the same barrier, more or less, for the pacing draw as well, with better eclipse. So the series has been great. Monday hasn't been fantastic.
No, that's right. I've really enjoyed it thus far, and it's all downhill from here.
Good on you, Greg.
Thank you.
So the Interdominion Grand Finals on Saturday night. tab.co.nz for all of your betting details there. Short break for us here on your box seat. On the other side, we'll have a look at domestic racing, what's coming up for you around New Zealand. Welcome back into your box seat. We don't like to see this on race day, but have a look at the horsemanship of Zachary Butcher here driving Keystone Comet, which eventually was a late scratching. True story, Sheridan Rapley got tipped out. Zachary grabbed a hold of it. Doris Ray also. You saw Adrian Matthews taking virtually no part, but Zachary showing all the skills here and picked up beautifully by our trackside team. We don't like to see that in races, but just shows you what a terrific horseman Zachary is. Right, speaking of Zachary Butcher, let's stick with his area. It's a big night at Auckland on Friday night. First of our features we want to have a look at. Here she is, Darling Me Matthew, winning the Bob McArdle Sire Stakes Southern Mares Classic in brilliant style. She wouldn't need to bring a lot better form to Alexandra Park on Friday night to be winning.
Yeah, she's a very, very good horse, a top horse, in fact, and she's put a gap in most of these. Being victorious, confidence will be very high, I would imagine. Looks a really good race for her at the ratings. She looks special. The only horse higher than her is Stylish Memphis by 1 point, and she's drawn outside of her. 2,200 metres, I would imagine Tim will be around into the race at some point, and it does look as though, not her race to lose, but she looks very well placed.
Yeah, she certainly does, leading into the Queen of Hearts next week, the $100,000 race. Just having a quick look at the market, $2.30 her opening price. You've got $4.50 for Manhattan, who races well at the park, $5.50 for La Rosa, and of course her stablemate, Stylish Memphis, $11. Cully's Delight, Bob Butt with 2 in the race, Tony Hurley to drive at $7.50. The other feature sees a return of this horse, Copy That. Here he is winning the IRT New Zealand Cup. He goes round in the Connell Contractors Limited Mile. Comes up with the outside barrier draw. Blair Orange takes the rein because Maurice McKendry drives Hot and Treacherous. But winning the Cup in 3:54, the outside barrier draw shouldn't hold too many fears, Matthew.
No, it shouldn't. Group 1 Derby winner finishing 4th. You've got the Group 1 free-for-all horse Self Assured running on strongly wider out, and Beatty Joe, who's gone on to win again. So as is always the case, the Cup form is stacked up. Rated 120, Mobile Mile. I think he'll be winning. Hot and Treacherous, no knock on him. They should really be running the Quinella with potentially All-American Lover running 3rd. You're probably not far away from getting the straight try.
So there's copy that. He has come up $1.55 in the market. I think people will be prepared to take that. $6.50 for Hot and Treacherous, who was disappointing last week, but he can bounce off that. An All-American Lover, interesting runner for Team Telfer, who currently sit one behind Mark Purdon and Hayden Cullen in that premiership battle. I think they're about $1.90, $1.95. So Friday night at the park could be crucial. Addington Raceway on Friday night. 11 races there. Probably the race of the day is the lather up. Speed, pedigree and looks, fillies and mares. I think Kikarangi Blue will be hard to beat in race number 8 there. Matthew, Green Mile Day it is at Methven on Sunday. Always one we look forward to. And the Green Mile this year looks a tricky sort of a contest with a really interesting tilt to it, with Celtic Spirit drawing nicely, of course, by virtue of the preferential barrier draw.
Yeah, look, this horse has been so good at the Addington Raceway. It's going to be a bit of a step up for him. Not a huge step up. It's not really an open class lot. The Green Mile, basically, you could say it's a rating 50 to 76, with Shan Noble being the highest rated horse in the race. He's probably got enough speed to cross the one horse early. Whether he's good enough to lead them up over the mile and hold off that calibre of horse, I'm not sure. There could be a little bit of pressure at the start, potentially from Chal Patch, Coravally Star, and maybe even Shan Noble to roll forward. A good intermediate Green Mile this year, Greg. Celtic Spirit's the horse that's on the up, so he's going to be an interesting watch.
Yeah, well, we should have a look at probably the key lead-up race, which is out of Geraldine. Here it is, his stablemate, Celtic Spirit, that is Homebush Lad, getting through on the inside of Coravally Star. This will be the key for a lot of people, Matthew, and he just loves it, doesn't he, on the grass tracks. He'll have to come off the second row, Homebush Lad, but he has the Mayor of Methven and Ricky May doing the steering.
And he was super in the Akaroa Cup the other day too. He had no luck, Homebush Lad. He was tucked away on the pegs, followed them through, and he was quite strong late. I guess the key there is Chal Patch and Coravally Star potentially both settling on speed, so it may sway in their favour just.
All right, looking forward to the Green Mile. Market-wise, $3.50 Celtic Spirit come up the favourite there. Got you covered, $4.50, $6.50 Coravally Star, Chal Patch at $5, and if you like Homebush Lad, you're getting $10. The Trotters Green Mile. Matthew, is it just a case of Mataderos sees the green surface and just wins? He's come up $2. I think he deserves that mantle. He has to come from the outside draw, but I don't think it'll matter.
I don't think so, not on the grass. Just loves it, doesn't he? He's got the most impeccable grass track record. The dangers could be Midnight Dash, who I thought was a sneaky enough run the other day. Enheim was okay. I don't think, although the rest of them are nice horses, I don't think they're in the league of Mataderos. So if he can get into the race at the right time over the mile, I think he'll be winning again, Greg.
Yeah, I think so too, Matthew. Very, very hard horse to beat. Before we get into what's around the nation this week, sad to hear the passing of Ron Barron, of course, father of Ken Clark and Tony Barron. Tony with a big week with the Interdominions coming up trotting-wise, but he was a very, very good horseman, Matthew. Trained over 150 winners. Horses like Incredible Fella, who was a pretty handy sort of a horse. He had a couple of others. Michael's Medley, who won a stack of races too that I can remember. But geez, left a mark. The boys will continue that on. They're all champion horsemen in their own right, and a lot of that comes down to the ability of their father, Ron Barron.
Yeah, it's all about the tutelage, isn't it, at the beginning of your career, and they were all put in a good place. And they're a tight-knit community down there in Southland as well, so they'll be mourning at the moment, as will the entire Barron family. But like you say, they're a good, tight-knit bunch of people. So, yeah, really sad to hear that news, but I'm sure that they'll be able to look back on some pretty good times over the years.
Yeah, we'll have a bit more on that on next week's show. But what around the nation this, or where can you go? Harness racing around the nation. Manawatu Cup night on Thursday. They've got about 8 races there, 5:21 the first. Winton also race on Thursday, 11 races, 1:42. Friday night, Alexandra Park, 5:44, 9 races, 11 at Addington at 5 o'clock on a big night for them. Packed out it will be. And Methven, of course, on Sunday, 12:21, the start time there. Bets of the week. We managed to pick up a bit more money last week, courtesy of Michael and myself. 561 drops in. We're up to over 3,300 this week. Darling Me for Michael at 230. I think Kikarangi Blue can win the 8. She'll go forward, be hard to beat. And Graham Hand's gone for Tuapeka Lou and a really good maiden at Addington, race number 2. And Lumen Shaley resumes in race number 6. So those are the bets of the week. Did you have one, Matthew? Have you got one that you think's a bit of a standout this week?
Well, the $1.55 for Copy That, he should be about $1.25, shouldn't he?
Would have thought so.
Between him and, Kikarangi Blue had no luck the other day because she obviously had to go back from the wide barrier draw in a race that was only for those that were up onto the speed. Sectionally, she was very good, drops into the right sort of race. So I'm definitely with you there with Kikarangi Blue. She's just about the best of the night there at Addington, and multi it up with Copy That and see how you go.
Yeah, well, Village Rebel into High Energy last week was where we got our money, so nice value there from the man they call the brand. Just giving you a bit of an update around when the box seat will finish for Christmas. 28th of December will be our last show, which will be a build-up into that Auckland meeting on the 31st. And then we won't be back till the 8th of February, but that'll give us a good, strong build-in towards the New Zealand Bloodstock sales from the 19th of February. So a couple of decent shows there to look at the likes of the Brecon draft and the Renwick Farms draft, so looking forward to that. Matthew, appreciated your time over the last couple of weeks. Been brilliant having you as part of the box seat, and enjoy your Christmas racing that's ahead. I'm sure we're going to see and hear plenty of you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Greg. It's an exciting time. It's one of my favourite times of the year when everybody gets to go away. We're away from the big races. The tension's a little bit less and more of a relaxed atmosphere with the likes of your Westport, your Nelson, the Central Otago circuit as well is always quite an enjoyable visit. But thanks to you, Greg, and really enjoyed your work over the last few weeks with some of those bigger races, getting us all of those information. I'm sure that Mark Purden's probably sick of hearing from you, but we're certainly not.
Yep, certainly that, Matthew. Appreciate your time. That's been your box seat for this week. Michael and I will see you in 7 days' time. The box seat brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Harness Link for your worldwide harness coverage. New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, where winning begins. Brecon Farms. Stonewall Stud. IRT, it's your horse and our passion. Australasian-wide Garrard's Horse and Hound. Renwick Farms. Lincoln Farms. Harness Racing New Zealand. And the clubs Addington, Ashburton, Alexandra Park and Cambridge.